I'm not a bot sympathizer. I'll prove it. Hello, meatbags. This is the ISO. In short, I was created by a specialized branch of the military by the Federation. Bunkers located in the heart of the that was needed to isolate. Long story short, this device they created captured universal energy and put it in a supercomputer. That supercomputer captured me, who exists in the fabric of space and time. They essentially used that computer to control a regiment of implanted Helldivers they selected to participate in the program. So, I am not a robot, more like an AI. Besides, the automatons are actually cyborgs, and they're socialist. Yuck. Democracy and republicanism are the only way to do it. For freedom.
Federation of Super Earth authorizes the sentient supercomputing weapon to speak as an official representative on behalf of the department. Any attempts to conceive this commentary as anything but loyal will be subject to investigation and may lead to imprisonment. Directive 1, subsection 15 in the Charter of Super Earth.
See, they're watching me right now to assure my compliance, just between the two of us. If you discover anyone disloyal, please report them immediately. So, here I am. And since I can exist in more than one world, I could review Helldivers 2, what you otherworlders call it, so I can express how awesome this game is. So awesome that none of my friends will buy it yet. I have to come up with some really well-worded, elaborate, funny, visually driven explanation, maybe in video format, that I can put on a platform that's easy to access with no extra software needed. So $40 is surprisingly enough to deter some people from buying games. Understandable. Well, there was a whole bunch of rumors about the servers not being able to support the massive influx of people who wanted to play. By the way, it's fixed. Go play. That rumor was a bit toxic and went on for far too long. The first game wasn't very big, and the devs didn't expect to explode their servers. Just to be clear, the dev is small, at around 100 people. Arrowhead is backed by Sony, though, which is not small. The fact that they have a popular following now, and a large backer to boot, is better than some indie two-man op games that have come out lately. And that money is going to help make this game have regular updates, which is good. They can do everything and make it a mainstay, and they already had a bunch of stuff planned before the big popularity boom. This is going to be one of those rare exceptions where we're going to be playing it for years and years and years, and people will still be talking about it, and it'll still be relevant. That's optimistic. Arrowhead has done something that few games manage to pull off. That is viral marketing. I don't know if they did it intentionally, or there's some underlying urge in all of us to conquer.
And I say kill them all! Yeah! Oh yeah! Yeah! Oh yeah!
Check out the ad they placed right at the beginning of the game.
Join the Helldivers. Become part of an elite peacekeeping force. And spread managed democracy throughout the galaxy. Become a hero.
This hoorah attitude is what made Halo awesome in the first place. This is something special in games where the player base makes the lore. It's also known as free advertising. A game that comes to mind for me is EVE Online, where the player actions reverberate not just in the game, but also somehow they make headlines. The old game had a pilotable mech and another race to fight on the war map, and they had these crazy events that happened. So they definitely have something going for this game, no doubt about that. They only need to sprinkle that in over the next year or two, and then bam, we have a certified new edition that I can't log off from despite it being 5 a.m. and I have to wake up at 10. I should really talk about that third creature race. The old game, no joke, looked like a ripoff from StarCraft. The Terminids were Zerg. Pretty sure they still make the Zergling noise when they die in the new game. The automatons were basically the Terran, but roboted out. They called them the cyborgs in the last game. And the Illuminate, basically the Protoss. I mean, look, they had observers in it, and they didn't even change the name. They're called observers. But that whole thing with imitation being the best form of flattery really worked for the old game. For me, StarCraft was one of my favorite and first online games I played as a kid. StarCraft is awesome, and it still is one of my favorite franchises. Please, Blizzard, make a world of StarCraft and take my money. But yeah, the Illuminate. It's going to be really interesting when we get to fight those in Helldivers 2. But I think Helldivers 2 differentiates itself from the old game in a couple of ways. Despite sharing the same cool way to activate abilities,
Going down a sentry. Drop ships.
and even cooler friendly fire coming from random abilities thrown out by other players.
Another diver for the cause.
And the awesomely absurd propaganda spouted by characters.
The fate of all humanity
children are in your hands. Do not let them fall.
The hour of our next victory rapidly approaches. Let us cleanse the galaxy of alien scum.
On that note, I think that is one of the first things. It really does make you feel that fascist democratic energy flow through you. It makes me want to spout out something cliched from Starship Troopers.
Everyone fights, no one quits. You don't do your job, I'll shoot you.
Mainly and above the other thing, I think it achieves something unique in the atmosphere of each planet and every random hole you encounter on the way to the objective, to the way the character moves. It's like somebody said, hey, let's take that first game and rule of awesome it like crazy. Every time I clip the game, it's gorgeous or fantastic. I mean, look at this nuke. T4 got it.
Why? Cancel that. You have ignited the torches of liberty. Extraction awaits.
Torches of Liberty. I'm gonna watch this nuke. Ooh, boy. That is a thing. Yeah, wow. For liberty and democracy. I can watch this game for hours and not be bored. Another is that the game just plays awesome. It's fun, it's got a good loop. You go to an objective and you don't feel like you wasted your time, but it's not too difficult and not too easy. And that's the thing. The difficulty curve in this game is different than the old game. The old game had this thing where you went from easy to near impossible, and there wasn't really any in between. The new one feels good, even when on extreme difficulty. There's strategies to staying alive, like circling enemies, so you can find an opening. But if you do that too much, then you run out of mission time and you run your allies' reinforcements dry. Speaking of invasive maneuvers, holy crap, this jetpack is so much fun. You get to do some pretty crazy trick shots, like I did with this tank.
Reimbursed in 3 seconds. Oh shit.
How about a nice cup of...
Holy shit, I killed it. But I think that's why the difficulty is a bit better. You have 3 dimensions to work with instead of 2. And you can get really creative with that type of positioning. Another interesting thing that they added in this new version is the matchmaking. You could just hit a button to matchmake or call in someone into your game using an SOS beacon. The old game you had like a server browser, but this game kind of streamlines that. It makes it nice and seamless. I had an issue miking up on PC, and I think the issue there is that the game goes with your default Windows settings, and it took me a minute to figure it out. I had to basically unplug the other mics. Like, I had my VR headset plugged in, and it defaulted to that as my default. So once I unplugged it and reset Windows and did that, it worked. But on the PC, a lot of people aren't mic'd up in squads. But despite not having any close personal friends to play with, I managed to have a really good time with blueberries I found in matchmaking. And there were a decent amount of people on mic, so there was some interesting encounters and coordination in the squad. I'm going to use this section to go off script a little bit, and the game has some very interesting moments in it where you just feel like there's like an adventure in the game that you don't really encounter in other games, and there's an energy to it.
Reminder, signs of disloyalty should be reported to the democracy officer.
That's pretty funny.
Or lack of loyalty will be reported to your democracy officer. Propaganda, the video game. Da 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 da. Like, other co-op games are great because you get to do these hijinks and shenanigans with other people. This actually feels like there's a fleshed out world that you get to play in, and there's no distractions from that. Well, besides what I'm about to talk about. Let me get to that. This game is not immune to criticism, like many aren't. Mainly the one graphical bug that I encountered, and I'm not talking about the Terminids. I noticed these graphical glitches on certain parts of certain maps, and so did my teammates, and it was very isolated to certain areas. I even spotted a question mark here and there. It did break my immersion, a little bit, not big, but it was tolerable. I should reiterate the microphone problems. It could be fixed pretty easily with just an interface option to pick your mic. No big deal. There was a gameplay related issue that I noticed, and that was enemy pathfinding. If there are any winding paths or objects that aren't accounted for, The enemy will pool up in certain spots, like under a ledge, and you can dispatch them with a grenade, because they're all together and they can't shoot you. They won't even chase you around an object if you don't go beyond a certain point. Speaking of missing objects, some of them are invisible, mainly around objectives. You can vault over them, not a huge deal. But that's literally all of them. That is all of the problems that I noticed. I'm sure you guys have encountered something in your plays. Let me know in the comments if you've encountered any. Yeah, as far as all that goes, it doesn't really take away from the experience. This is a well-made, well-thought-out game that will outlive its peers by a long shot. Check it out if you haven't already. I know the $40 is a big ask for some people, but think about how much content you get for that price. You could easily get 60 hours minimum from the progression alone. This is not even including updates in the future. But let me know in the comments what crazy fun experiences you had in Helldivers were, or stories you heard from other people. Let me know if you were involved in Malevelon Creek. RIP. I'll be in the comment section. Hit me up here or in my Discord. Link in the description. Also, hit the sub button while you're there, and check out any of the other videos I have on the channel. I'll see you in the next video, meatbags.